Hello, it is Foundation Friday, October 18th, 2019. Steve Sipress here. Just got back from an all-day event with an expert on attracting the right customers, clients, patients, members, business people via LinkedIn. Just one of the ways, that's the last W of the WOW strategy, that you can use to do your marketing, advertising, and sales using LinkedIn if you have business prospects that you're targeting. Saw some old friends and had a lot of fun. Met a couple of really cool new people, which I'll be talking about a little more on future videos. But I want to talk about today on Foundation Friday. Hey, Sid is here. Good seeing you, Sid. Foundational tip for business success is this point about courage. So I'm sure you've seen, everyone has likely seen The Wizard of Oz, or at least has the gist of the idea. One of the characters being the cowardly lion, as he's known as, because for almost the whole movie, he's a lion who ironically has no courage. Get it? Anyway. But towards the end of the movie, he is made to realize that all the time he's had courage, it's just deep within him. And of course, that's universal for all people, and business owners especially, because success in business takes courage. Just starting a business or buying a business, looking to run a business on your own, takes courage. Now, a lot of people, however, it's human nature. And this is human behavioral psychology, by the way, which I talk about a lot. And before I forget, I know I forgot yesterday, somebody asked me to mention that if you want help with this topic or anything else that I talk about, anything really to do with the money-getting aspect of your business, not the doing aspect. If you're a plumber, don't call me and want advice on how to do plumbing. If you're an auto repair guy, I'm not going to help you with auto repairing. If you are a lawyer, I'm not going to help you how to stand in front of a judge and make an argument. But all the money-getting aspect, the business aspects of the business, and whether you are a professional or a contractor or anything else, make no mistake, it's a business. I can help you with that. You go to helpfromsteve.com and we will book a time. You will book a time that works for you. We'll get on the phone and I'll help you out. And even just that act, by the way, just doing that takes courage. People tell me, oh, gee, I didn't know what to say if I call, or gee, I'm afraid that if I get this from clients. I had this conversation with a client yesterday, you started a business, you're successful in a business, that took courage, but this client has been with me a very short time and is the very definition of a really horrible client. Just doesn't engage, doesn't participate, doesn't reach out for help, doesn't get help from my client group that I have, doesn't call me, doesn't participate in the weekly group calls, doesn't call me one-on-one, doesn't really do anything, and that's easy. And I was like, hey, that's easy. Failure is easy. Non-action, inaction, doing nothing is easy, of course. Doing nothing, man, I can sleep, I can lie on a couch, I can play video games, I can watch TV, I can sit there and watch cat videos on YouTube all day. I mean, that's easy. But taking the right actions, that's difficult. And this comes down to a fundamental point of human behavioral psychology. So we in business study human behavioral psychology so that we can learn and always hone our craft and get better and better at figuring out how to get other people to do what we want them to do, whether they're employees or suppliers or customers, clients, patients, members, whoever they are. We want to learn how to properly and effectively persuade, influence, sell, manipulate, engage, prod, whatever you want to call it. We want to get people to do what we want them to do. But a side benefit of understanding human behavioral psychology is that we can also use it to get ourselves to do what we know that we have to do. Because I say it often, the good news is we're our own boss, and the bad news is we're our own boss. So since you watching this video, if you own a business or several businesses, you're your own boss. Now ask yourself, are you a good boss or are you a lousy boss? Do you permit yourself, in other words, to take the easy way out of things, to not have courage, and therefore to not take the actions you know you need to take because maybe you're afraid that, someone will, ridicule me, or if I put myself out there on social media, people might attack me. Well, people will definitely attack you. So it takes courage. If you do any kind of successful advertising or marketing or sales work, it's contrarian, it's against the grain, it's not what people think or expect. That's why on the old, I remember the David Letterman show, he would had a regular bit of stupid local TV commercials, or whatever he called it, and he would show what he considered, and his audience was led to believe, were foolish, silly, ridiculous TV commercials by local business owners. And they may very well have been. But on the other hand, they were also effective. They got attention. They got so much attention, they got national TV attention. I have a client who had one of those ads show up on the David Letterman show, and from then on, he immediately used that in all of his marketing, as seen on David Letterman. And his stuff was, he had people ask him still to this day, hey, you're that guy, that David Letterman. So, it takes courage to put yourself out there. Yeah, you might get ridiculed, almost always by people that don't know what they're doing. If I help you, which if you go to helpfromsteve.com, I'll help you if you want to design your ad to fix it, to make it more effective, and then if you show it to your spouse, your employee, somebody doesn't know anything about advertising and marketing, like they might ridicule it. That doesn't look like any ad I've ever seen. And yeah, that's the point. That's why it's effective. That's why it works. Well, you shouldn't run that. It doesn't look proper and good. And I hear that all the time. I hear that about my ads all the time. I hear about ads I create for clients all the time. I've brought in millions and millions and millions of dollars with ads that people ridiculed. In fact, people that do know me, know my history, know I spent 3.5 years as a consultant to advertisers with a Yellow Page publisher. And it got to the point where I had to make an appointment and then personally go in and sit with the graphic designer while he or she designed my ad to my specifications, because otherwise they would always fix it, which frustrated me no end, and of course would cause my advertisers, my clients, to not make money. And so they would, it's not centered, and it doesn't look pretty, and the logo isn't really big at the top. I'm like, get the logo out completely. Logos never make any money for anybody unless you're so humongously huge that somehow people recognize the two yellow hoops in the form of an M. Well, that's McDonald's. But you can see these tests all the time on that point, bonus point, I guess. They'll put them in magazines and stuff. They'll put the shape and colors of the logo without the actual word, and people can't even guess what company it is. And these are all the top brands in the world because nobody cares about stuff like that. But people that don't know effective advertising, marketing, sales care a lot about things that don't matter at all, like snappy taglines and stock photos and logos and the name of your company really big in your ad and all that kind of crap that is a complete waste of space in the ad. And last I checked, you're paying for the space in the ad. Or the space on your website is taking up space where it should be persuading, convincing, selling, whatever you want to call it, getting people to take the action you want them to take. And your logo couldn't do that. Your fact that your thing is centered doesn't help do that. The fact you got a lot of white space doesn't do that. Put something in the white space that sells. White space doesn't sell. Jason is here. Good seeing you. And so this stuff takes courage. Well, it also takes courage. In this case, I was talking to my client yesterday that for some reason has decided that the goal is not to make money. The goal is to fail, or the goal is to not succeed, or the goal is to not engage. But then I was like, well, why'd you hire me? Why do you have a coach? See, there's a lot of people that never wanted to play for Bobby Knight. They never wanted to play for Vince Lombardi. These were known as tough coaches. And it takes courage to play for a tough coach for Vince Lombardi. But, all the players that played for Vince Lombardi, once they quit football, and back in those days, they made no money playing football. They all had to get crappy jobs in the off season just to pay the bills. They weren't Peyton Manning or Tom Brady making $20-30 million a year, or LeBron James being an idiot about China and making $50 million a year. They weren't doing that. And so, however, players that played for Vince Lombardi, you can look it up. They retired from football, and they all went on to be successful people in owning their own businesses or being executives of companies. And to a man, every single one of them said, I owe it to Vince Lombardi. He was tough on me. I knew. We're playing for Vince Lombardi. I do anything wrong, he's going to chew me a new one. He's not going to let me off the hook for any little thing. He's going to be tough on me. And you know what? The person that really wants success, most of all, the results-oriented person, says, bring it on. Because my goal is success. Because I can't pay the bills. I can't put food on my family's table. Last I checked, I can't pay the mortgage with, I feel good. I have a nice coach who's nice to me and wants to be liked. How about you get a coach that wants you to succeed? And then you don't not show up for practice because, the coach is going to chew me out. You don't not engage. Why do you hire me? I was asked this client yesterday, why'd you hire me? You don't engage. I'm not going to call you. I mean, I see clients struggling all the time. I see stuff they post on Facebook. I see emails they send out that are terrible. I see websites they put up are completely violating all the rules of successful websites, and they still make money. That's the shame of it. They still make money. Their businesses are growing. They're doing some of what I suggest, and they're making some money. But, man, they're leaving so much money on the table, and I get it. I'm the same way. I have coaches. I'm like, coach is going to chew me out. And every time I think of that, I remember back to when I for the first time, took the leap and sucked it up and said, you know what? Then for crying out loud, I want to get my stuff chewed up. And I showed what I thought was my great piece of marketing material to my coach, and the coach, man, ripped it a new one. I remember my senior honors thesis in college. Man, that was like 85 pages, took me all year, 13 pages of footnotes. I mean, this thing was just, man, I slaved over that thing. And back in those days, there were no word processors in 1982. So, not that we had anyway. So it was all typed one page at a time. And if there was a typo and the whiteout made it not look so great, I'll rip up that whole page, even if I was on the bottom line. Crap, start over. I mean, this was just a tremendous amount of work. All kinds of research, all kinds of writing, and all kinds of editing and typing, whatever. And finally, I'm defending my thesis. So I got two professors I've never met and the professor I worked with that are now critiquing my honors thesis. I graduate with honors from college. And man, they start peppering me with questions. I'm like, that wasn't in there. They're like, yeah, but what do you think's going to happen in the future based on that? I was like, what? I thought I'm defending my thesis. What I wrote. No, I'm supposed to predict the future, and I'm supposed to think about things here. And they just tore me a new one. And then I saw them opening the thing up, and they one guy had taken, I'll never forget it, he had taken a big red pen and he just put a big X over 15 straight pages. He was like, this whole section is crap. This shouldn't even be in here. This is all nonsense. I was like, holy crap, that represents weeks of work. Holy crap, I just got torn a new one. And so I walked out of there as if I'd been physically beaten up, as if I'd gotten in the ring with Hulk Hogan or something. And I remember my professor, the one professor I had, my coach, my guide, my whatever he's called, my advisor or whatever he's technically called, that advised me on the whole thing. He's like, man, how you feeling after that? And I was like, man, that sucked and whatever. But I got to tell you what, it made me stronger. And I looked back and I was like, yeah, and I had a discussion with him and I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that whole section was crap, but it was so much fun. It was very cool. My thesis was on the reserve clause in baseball. I had a dual major. I had American Studies. It was a liberal arts, ridiculous, and of course, stupid thing. I went to a liberal arts school, but my major was American Studies, so it had to be something based on America. And I had a legal studies minor, and then I went on to law school. And so I wrote my honors thesis on both topics. I picked the reserve clause in baseball, a legal aspect of baseball. And yeah, for about 15 pages, I wrote about the origin of all the team names in baseball. That's what that section was. Oh, the Pittsburgh Pirates, that came from the fact that the owner in 1902 stole away a player from another team, and all the other owners started calling them the Pirates. He was stealing a player from, and that's why they're called the Pirates. And the Cubs. The Cubs are called the Cubs in Chicago because Cap Anson was the captain of the team, and he was known as Papa Bear. And so the papers were calling him Papa Bear and his Cubs. And so they're now known as the Cubbies. And on and on and on. All the teams had these nicknames. I love this. I love baseball history. I was writing all about what the hell that have to do? The reserve clause. Well, cause, I mean, it was tangential. It was in the same material I was researching about contracts and how the players were treated by the owners. They stole them from one team to another. And then they had a reserve clause. You couldn't move, so you weren't a free agent. You couldn't move to another team, but you could be traded or stolen. And that's how the Pirates got their name. And by the way, this is how this team got its name. And of course it was garbage. But I had a lot of fun with it. But man, if I had published that, maybe people would have said, like, this is a piece of crap. And the book would have gotten panned reviews. Or the editor would have just said, you can't publish this thing. It's a piece of crap. Take this out. So it's a good thing, looking back, that I got torn a new one. And when it comes to advertising and marketing, man, show your ad to me. Go to helpfromsteve.com, book a time with me, email me over your ad to steve@stevesipress.com, and then I'll critique it and we'll talk on the phone. And if you don't have the courage for that critique, then go ahead and pay the money, or put that postcard in the mail, or that sales letter, or place that ad in a newspaper or magazine or online, or give Facebook your money, or Google, or whatever, and watch crickets come in and no money come in, or not nearly as much money as you should have from that amount of advertising, because, you were afraid of me ripping apart your ad. Well, guess what? You want it ripped apart by me. You don't want it ripped apart by your prospects, which means they don't respond, do you? I mean, just send me your next email you're going to send out. Email that over to steve@stevesipress.com. Go to helpfromsteve.com. Book a time on my calendar, and I'll critique your email. Maybe it's great. Maybe I can give you just a little tweak. Maybe it's horrible. But people say, there's no cost of email. Direct mail costs money. Email is free. Email is free? Really? Let's say you have a list of only 1,000 people on your email list. You write a crappy email, it gets only 5% open rate. You write a fantastic email, it gets a 25% open rate. The cost was you lost out on communicating with 750 of your 1,000 prospects. I don't call that free. It's a complete waste of money. And certainly if you write a crappy email, it only gets a 5%. Now you just failed communicating with 95% of your list. What a total waste. If you only email once a week, you just wasted an entire week. If you email once a day, you just wasted an entire day. So yeah, there's a cost to email. Even if you do it right, there's a cost. You're not getting it to everybody. You do it wrong, there's a big, big cost. So do you want to take the easy way out? Don't go to helpfromsteve.com. Don't send me over your ad or your email or anything else you're doing. And I won't critique it. And you can let your prospects critique it with their wallets by keeping them in their pocket and not calling you. So you make your choice. And that's what coaching is all about, at least to me. I don't need a coach, and I don't need a doctor to have a good bedside manner and be all nice and nice. I need a doctor to tell me like it is. Hey, dude, you need to stop doing this, and you need to do more of this, or else this is going to happen. Boom. That's just me personally. If you respond to the nice, blah, 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 then you don't want a coach like Vince Lombardi or Bobby Knight or me. You don't want, I'm known as Straight Talk Steve, known as a no BS guy. My number one mentor in marketing is Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy of No Bull Dan Kennedy. Okay, that's why when I became a Dan Kennedy advisor, I remember people telling me, man, that's perfect for you. You're Straight Talk Steve. Like, you're a no bull guy. That's perfect. Everyone knows you're no BS. And the right people appreciate that. The wrong people slink from it and say, uh-oh, he's going to tell it to me straight out. I'd rather have it candy-coated, or I'd rather not hear it at all. And I'll just continue failing. So you make your choice. Success takes courage. Do you have the courage to be criticized, to be coached, to be mentored, to get some tough love, to have someone point out some things that you might not be doing right? It doesn't have to be an email or an ad or a sales piece can just be a strategy, just can be an employee, a hire, can be anything in your business. Bring it to me. Go to helpfromsteve.com, get on my calendar, bring the situation to me. In the grand scheme of things, do you really care if I chew you a new one? Why would you care? If the situation is costing you money, if you don't fix it, what do you care what I think? Just like this guy that ripped apart my college thesis that I spent the whole year on putting together, I don't even remember who it was. He could walk down the street tomorrow, and I wouldn't recognize the guy. He could say his name, I won't recognize. There's not a chance in the world I'd ever remember this guy, so why do I give a crap about the fact that what he thinks of me? All I know is he helped me, because if I was going to resubmit that thesis, I would, of course, take out those 15 pages of fun I had and get that out of there. And so it wouldn't have taken away from the main point of my argument with 15 pages of fluff that just showed what an amateur. You got all this fluff in there, right? Put fluff in your email, and you're going to lose the response. Put fluff in your ad. You're going to kill the response. Put fluff in your sales script. Put fluff in anywhere in your systems in your business. It's going to hurt your response, is it not? So maybe you need someone who's going to give you some tough love. And by the way, does that mean you have to do what I say? No. So you can take the advice, you can take it or leave it. But it takes courage to get it, to put yourself out there to get it. It takes no courage at all to sit there and suffer and wonder and be overwhelmed and frustrated and upset that you know you should be making more money with your business. You know you should up your game on your marketing, advertising, sales, everything to do with the money aspect of your business. You know you should up the game. But I don't want to be criticized if I'm doing something wrong. That's easy, folks. I don't think you got into business for that, did you? If you did, you're already in for a rude awakening. It's the reason 90% of businesses fail, because failure is easy. It takes courage to succeed. Hoping you get the courage, hope you succeed. I'm about to change from business attire attending a business event to heading out to some friends for a party and enjoying the rest of the evening, which I hope you do as well. Phil is here. Great seeing you. I don't see a sunset coming over the mountains yet, but we are heading out, and I will catch you tomorrow again. It'll be Social Media Saturday, and I'll have a tip for you on LinkedIn from the all-day seminar I went to today about how to attract the right prospects and make money on LinkedIn. I'll share a tip with you tomorrow, so I hope I catch you then. Any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, anything at all, give it to me, man. I'm not afraid. Pile it on. Give me your best shot. Hit me up with any comment wherever you're watching this. I always respond when appropriate. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here live on the replay. I'll catch you tomorrow. Over and out. Bye-bye.